So in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to reduce your pack weight when it comes to winter camping. So I'm going to say straight away that it is quite difficult to do. Usually when it comes to winter time and cold weather camping, you need to take a little bit more gear to make sure that you're comfortable and you stay warm. But I got a question from Jason, Crag Rat Outdoors. Hi Paul, what are your top tips for reducing pack weight in winter, bar investing in lighter kit? Best wishes, Jason. To be honest, Jason, you kind of came up with the answer in the question. You know, lighter weight kit tends to be more expensive, but lighter weight can also mean that it's not as warm or not as robust or as durable. I find it's more important to prioritize the things that are going to keep you warm and comfortable. So don't go bring in things that aren't really necessary. So I'm going to go through the things that I prioritize for trying to stay warm in the winter months. And to be honest with you, I'll take what I need. If it weighs a little bit more, so be it. It's important for me to stay warm, stay safe and be comfortable, especially in the winter months, because if anything goes wrong, you can be in quite a lot of trouble. There's a handful of things that are most important to me, and I will start with the tent. So I personally like to choose a 4-season tent wherever possible. Some of the characteristics of the 4-season tents that I go for is that the fly sheet goes right down to the ground. That way all the cold wind doesn't get underneath. Also, there is pretty much a full solid inner. So you can get some 3-season tents that kind of make this criteria as well. So I call them 3-season plus. So, you know, a light dusting of snow or really cold weather, you can still get away with them. But if it's heavy, drifting snow, you really want a proper 4-season tent. Obviously, this is my personal preference. I have slept out in a snowstorm with a bivvy and tarp before, but it just wasn't as comfortable as it being in something like this tent here. 4-season tents tend to have more durable materials. I like one that has got a bit more space inside. You know, it's gonna be dark night, so you're gonna be spending a lot of time inside a tent. So if you've got something that's really small where you can barely sit up in it, then it's not gonna be comfortable. I like to have a decent sized porch or vestibule area as well, so I haven't got to be outside necessarily when I'm boiling water or cooking up my dehydrated meal. Not everybody agrees with me, but I also like having a footprint. It reduces the amount of condensation that you get in your tent, and it also gives you a little extra layer of protection from water ingress, from anything really. It adds a little bit more weight, but also adds that little bit more protection. By the way, for anyone interested in winning a full wild camping kit, including this exact tent, as well as a brand new Rab sleeping bag, brand new backpack, a new thermarest mat, and a jet boil stove. Make sure to watch to the end of the video to find out what else is in the bag. So after the tent, the next most important thing for me is my sleeping bag and sleeping pad. So the sleeping pad often gets overlooked. People just think that they need a sleeping bag rated to -10 degrees or whatever, and then that will do all of the work. You lose most of your body heat from the ground. That's why you need an insulated sleeping pad. Sleeping pads and bags come in all different shapes and sizes. This one is a thermarest one, and it's got an R value, which is the rating of temperature that it goes down to. I think it's 7.8 or something like that, which will keep me warm to well below -10 degrees Celsius. But these kind of pads are really expensive. It's 200 quid. And you don't feel like you're getting anything for your money, but if there was one area that I would spend my money on, it is actually a sleeping pad. It doesn't necessarily have to be a thermarest. There's lots of other brands. Just make sure that it is ASTM officially rated, and that way the temperature that it states is what it should be comfortable down to. You can also use a really thick foam pad underneath a cheaper pad if you want to. They are really lightweight, but they are a little bit bulkier. And most of the time you have to have them stuck to the outside of your backpack. So when it comes to a sleeping bag, for the colder months especially, I tend to use a down-filled sleeping bag or quilt. So this one has got 650 fill down in it. So it comes in different ratings, up to around 900 I think it is. The higher the rating, the more warmth you get for less down basically. So you can pack it down a little bit smaller, but it's more premium and you pay more money for it. I think this one is comfort down to -6. Yeah, the Sky High 700, and yeah, it's done me proud for 8 years, something like that. but downfill bags have got the highest warmth to weight ratio, so you could get a comparable synthetic sleeping bag that would probably be, you know, half a kilo or kilo more, and more importantly it'll be huge when it comes to the pack size. Although synthetic materials are getting better and better every year now. Again, you can pay quite a lot of money for a down sleeping bag. These sky high ones, I think they're around £200, but I've seen cheaper alternatives on AliExpress, or Facebook Marketplace is a good place to go if you want to get second hand gear. So the biggest mistake that I used to make when it came to cold weather camping is taking too many clothes. You don't really need like 2 spare fleeces, you don't need 2 spare pairs of trousers. What I take with me normally is I've got a really thin Alpha Direct like fleece top. Nope, I haven't got it on. Yeah, it wicks away moisture really well, but I just want one thin layer to change into. So what you need to do is when you get to camp and you might be wet, or you might be cold and wet, you need to get out of your wet clothes and just get into a dry layer. Your sleeping bag should be everything that you need to keep you warm. You should have that to a rating that is suitable for the conditions that you're in. So worst case scenario is you've got a thin base layer of some description on, and you get in your bag on top of your sleeping pad and you will be warm. I always take a spare hat and a spare pair of socks. So cold feet are horrible. It can ruin a trip for me. I also take every time a down jacket. So these pack down really small. They're squashed down to virtually nothing. And I don't bother with stuff sacks for this or my sleeping bag. I just shove them down to the bottom of my pack, and it sort of fills all the nooks and crannies at the bottom. Also, if your sleeping bag isn't rated to the really cold temperatures, you can layer up. So you can sleep in a down jacket, and then that will add some extra warmth to your sleeping bag. Gloves are another thing. I always have 2 pairs of gloves. One that I'm wearing when I'm doing my hike, and then one just to do little general camp tasks. Because if you are out in the wind, it can be bitterly cold. You're just trying to peg your tent out or guy your tent out. It can be very difficult. So some sort of glove that will keep the wind off you. So I was woodland camping last night, and it went down to 5 or 6 degrees, and I was sleeping in a Czech army bedroll. Nowhere near as warm as this, but to supplement it, I use a hot water bottle. This is a really lightweight bit of kit, and it's like central heating. You put that into your sleeping bag before you get into bed, and it's going to be toasty warm in there. And this, from last night, feel it. The water's still warm. It's not red hot, it's nowhere near as hot as it was, but it's still giving off some warmth and heat. As long as you've got a stove to boil up some water, it's like having radiators in the house. Instead of using a hot water bottle, I have used a Nalgene bottle before. I wouldn't do it with a cheaper bottle, and to be honest, I don't do it very often because I still don't trust a Nalgene bottle the way that I trust a dedicated hot water bottle. But you can boil some water up, put it back into your Nalgene bottle, drop it in a sock or something like that, and then put that at the bottom of your sleeping bag as well. It just kicks out a lot more warmth. Make sure the lid's on nice and tight though. Food and drink, instead of taking beers up with you, take some coffees or some tea. Get some hot liquids inside you. Use an insulated mug like this one. This is what I tend to take for the colder months now. And hot meals. Something that you just add a bit of water to. Maybe some super noodles or something like that. Just get something hot inside you. It gets your metabolism and that furnace going inside you. Just a quick one on stoves. So winter I tend to use either an alcohol stove, because I can get this to work in all conditions, or if I'm using a gas stove, make sure that it's got a pressure regulator on it. I don't know if you can read that. It says regulated for constant performance down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, so that is -6 degrees. I've had problems with a couple of stoves that aren't regulated where I've not actually been able to bring water to a full boil. So although it can be tempting, only ever use your stove to boil water or to cook your food. Make sure that your tent is ventilated. Don't use it as a heater. It can be quite dangerous. Every year there are people that die from carbon monoxide poisoning from using wood burners or heaters inside the tent. Nobody wants to see that happen, so boil some water, put it in your hot water bottle, get in your sleeping bag instead. A couple of other secret weapons here. One of these little reflective foil mats, stick that under your sleeping pad or just use it to sit on. It just reflects the heat back up to you. Nice little bit of additional warmth for very little money and weighs next to nothing. These hand warmers, I think these are about 70p or a pound, something like that. And just stick one of those in the bottom of your sleeping bag. You can get self-adhesive ones now that you stick them to your base layer and it warms you up. It's just surprising that these last for about 8 hours, something like that. It says 10 hours, but I find it doesn't last quite that long. But a really good addition for little money, little pack size. Get them in your pack. And if you want, you can put an emergency bivvy inside your sleeping bag, something like that. It's got like a foil reflector thing on it, but it's crinkly, it's not really comfortable. It's only if you're really struggling with the cold. A couple of other bits and bobs you can take. So I've got some synthetic insulated trousers that I just wear around camp. They are a little bit bulky and they do add some weight, and I think there's a bit of a theme here, isn't there, Jason, and everybody else, is that me personally, I take what I need to stay warm and comfortable. I'm not looking at hitting that groundbreaking figure anymore. I've tried the ultralight camping. I think it's important that you've got the right gear to keep you safe at the end of the day. The amount of people that say to me that 2 kilos or 2.5 kilos is too heavy for a tent. Is it really too heavy for you? When I started out, I had 25 kilos on my back, and I don't know what this weighs, to be honest. I don't weigh my stuff anymore, but if I'm out camping with this stuff, it's still 12 kilos or under. I'd rather have a little bit more robust camping gear than taking a Bluetooth speaker or my tablet with me. I think we're getting too caught up in ultralight gear. Back in the day, people would be using wool blankets and canvas tents and really heavy roll mats. For me, it's more important to just have the gear that I need to be comfortable. Even when it comes to things like the West Highland Way, I didn't weigh my pack. There were things in there that other people wouldn't dream of taking, but it was stuff that I wanted to make sure that I was comfortable for the whole trip. So that's about it for my winter camping tips. Let me know in the comments if you've got any good ones. I did promise to let you know at the end of the video about the prize that we've got up for grabs. So this is for UK entry only. I am going to be raffling off all of this gear, including the Nortent Vern 1 4-season tent. There's a brand new Rab sleeping bag, Outpost 700, brand new Thermarest Neo Air X Lite. That's what the jet boil was for. We've got a new Alpine, low Alpine backpack. There's storm shelter. There's going to be a selection of snacks. I've got a new one of these at home. First aid kit, new pillow, silver headlamp, sit pad, camping mat. I've got a brand new one of those at home as well. Oh, and obviously some hand warmers, an emergency bivvy, and I've got inflator, sleeping pad inflator cum lantern. The link will be in the description and in the pinned comment. Tickets are going to be £3. Everything apart from the tent I've bought and paid for with my own money. But this one's surplus to requirements, so I thought I would put together a nice little kit so somebody else could enjoy doing what I do. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.